Welcome to Sunday Dusk, and here's your host, Corvus Twig.
I'm flying too high. Flew too high. I'm too close to the camera. I need to step back from the camera a little bit. Hello! Welcome, everybody, to the final Sunday Dusk of Pride Month. But hey, don't let tomorrow be in July stop you from taking down your pride flags. Fly that shit year-round. We love the L's, the G's, the B's, the T's, the Q's, the I's, the A's, and anybody else who considers himself part of the community. But hey, just remember, it's a constant struggle. It's a whole fight. Pride Month isn't just 1 month out of the year. But hey, you know what? It's been a good month. Lots of great stuff. Yeah, throw breaks all year. Exactly. And yeah, thanks Ray-Ban Dan for the gift sub to that Razaldia person. I don't know who that is. I don't know. I wish I could know a little bit more about whoever that person is that you gave that gift sub to. That'd be nice. I don't know. I feel like I might have an opportunity, but I'm not sure. Rasputin. Yes, thank you for the gift sub to Rasputin. You know. Rasputin, lover of the Russian queen. It was a cat. I don't know the words to that song that well. Yeah, they're very cool. Yeah, we got Independence Day for the Americans. One of the many global celebrations of independence from the British, which apparently like every 11 days or so, some country celebrates their independence from Britain. So that's always fun. But God, it's on a Thursday. What a terrible day. It's Thursday. Okay, we get Thursday off work. Better be back in the office on Friday. I'll be back in the office on Friday. Half my coworkers use PTO, so Friday's going to suck. I'm going to have half our people out. I'm going to be busting my butt all day today. It's going to be fine. It'll be fine. I don't mind being busy. Busy makes time go fast. But, like, come on. Another problem with 4th of July always being on the 4th is that, 5 days out of the week, we got a day where we have loud explosions going till like friggin' midnight on a school night. So, some people gotta work, gotta go to school. Well, okay, I say it's a school night. I suppose it's not really a school night in the middle of July. But you know what I mean. People gotta work in the morning, like me. And so, come on. Can we just make Independence Day be the first Friday of July? That way it's always on a Friday. And yeah, sure, some people work Saturday mornings, but far fewer people work Saturday mornings than Monday through Fridays. And I just think that would be better. I think Independence Day should just be the first Friday. That's my opinion. And the thing is, just like I don't mind fireworks. I like going to fireworks shows. Like if I'm there to view them, I like them. But if I'm lying down in bed and I'm about to fall asleep and sudden boom, 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 it's like, F off. I mean, it's like, okay, you want to light off your own fireworks? Fine, light off your own fireworks. Don't do it in a residential area. Get away from where people might be trying to sleep and light them off there. Come on, it's not that hard, people. It's not that hard. Just have a little consideration for other people. Look, I like watching shiny, bright, loud things too, but you gotta have some consideration for other people. Don't do stuff that could hurt, bothers other people. There's ways to have your fun without being a menace. Yes, that's my opinion on that. I hope y'all agree. Yeah, we're in the dog days of summer. What does that even mean? Are like dogs known for being summery animals? What do you mean the dog days? I don't know. Anyway, there's something I gotta show off. Cause we see him in chat there. Hi Hasio. Oh, thanks for the follow, moron fat boy. Appreciate you clicking that follow button. And if any of you else are Razaldia fans, remember to click that button. Might be kind of nice. I'd appreciate it. Anyway, Okay, I gotta show you something off because a couple months ago I had on a wonderful little artist named Turf Misu, and apparently Hasio really liked that episode, so Hasio made this. Oh my God! Look at it! Look at it! I'm trying to get my eyes to look at it, but they're not. There we go. There we go. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, God. Every time I look over to the screen where I can see it, my eyes... But anyway, it's a beautiful piece of fan art. Look at it. Look at the detail on that. Look at it. Look at it. It's so beautiful. You got all the items on the desk, and Tariff looks so cute. He really did Tariff real cute there. And we got other VTubers on there. We got Modbot, we got Mango, we got Bunny, we got the other Twig. We can see a little tiny tuft of birdism on there. And actually, can I make it? It's still, yeah, you can kind of see. The problem is the aspect ratio ain't quite right, so I had to do a little bit of cropping, but it's fine. You can see Tor's down there. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Seeing little cameos. But yes, I started to get too many trinkets, so now we have the display box. I feel like I want to change the display box a bit because I don't really like how it looks that much. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. But yeah, now we have the little rotating slideshow. It works. It's good. I'm happy, but you know, Hasio really did a great job of drawing the set. The background looks awesome. Looks just like my desk. Looks just like my set. You even got the nice background in there. Although I feel like I need to liven up. That was kind of my winter background. I need to I need to color shift that to more green for summertime. Maybe next month. Which is next week. But you know what I mean. Yeah. All right. I think I've blabbered on long enough. I think it's time to talk about the news. Oh, we got some news, folks. We got some crazy news. This one may be a little inappropriate, but it's people doing something maybe shouldn't do, but I also kind of love it. So, as you all know, the Olympics are coming to Paris. Ah, Paris, the city of romance, the city of great cuisine, of art and fashion, will be hosting the Olympics this year. Now, here's the thing. The River Seine goes through Paris. And yeah, the thing is, any river that goes through a major metropolitan area, Paris is not this, 16th century classic, city that's like all romantic and, ancient architecture. It's a modern city with modern people living modern lives. It's got a lot of that old classic stuff too, but still a modern city. And so the river gets a little polluted. And the problem with the pollution in the river is that they want to do a bunch of events in the river. So there's been a huge task force to get the river as clean as possible. Now, here's the thing. I think the river should always be clean as possible. You shouldn't need to have some big international event to keep your river clean. You should kind of focus on keeping a clean river year round. But here's the thing. The Olympics kind of suck. And by that I mean they are financially devastating to many, many people who live in the cities. They always talk about, it brings in billions of dollars of revenue to the city. Yeah, and all that money goes to the hands of a very few number of people. And the Olympics is known to be associated with, people getting displaced from their homes and big construction things, and it causes a lot of problems. Other people can go into this more depth than I can. But the people of Paris, a lot of them didn't want the Olympics. They said, no Olympics for us. We're not going to have any Olympics at all. But, well, they're not saying that, but they're protesting against the Olympics coming there and causing disruptions to their lives and their income. So, the government, in order to have a clean river, decided to do a publicity stunt where the river would be so clean that President Macron is going to take a swim in the river, and he was going to do a half-mile swim down the river. Well, some Parisians decided to protest that in a very unique way. They know the route he's going to be on, and collectively, they are going to, and there's no way for me to put this cleanly, they are going to defecate into the river just before or during Macron's swim. And that is how they are going to protest the Olympics. They're going to protest the way that they've been doing it by defecating into the river. And there's no other nicer way I could put it than that. So, yeah. Kind of gross. I'm sure that's the kind of protest that might result in somebody getting arrested. But even then, even with all the river cleanup efforts that they've had, they've done a really good job of getting all the loose floating junk out of there. But apparently the bacteria and other levels of contaminants in the river are still pretty high. Yeah, so it turns out that the reading under the bridge that we shown here, it's the Alexander III bridge showing levels 3 times higher than the maximum permitted by triathlon and open water swimming competition. So, yeah, they got a bit ways to go. And if people are pooping in the river, that ain't going to help it any better. So, I guess we could say that this entire thing is a shit show. I apologize to my guest if that's not warm and cozy and the vibe we're going for, but I heard about this story. I had to talk about it. So let's go to a more happy story. But first, I want to thank Lee Cohen of CBS News for the article, Parisians Threaten to Poop in Seine River to Protest Sewage Contamination Ahead of Paris 2024 Olympics. Hooray! Well, my next one comes from Canada. Oh, Canada, they had an election. And, well, so it looks like they had a election in Toronto. It was a, let's see, what's it? Canadian man received a by-election, and 84 candidates were up for election in this election. And a thing happened during this election that had never happened before. There was one candidate who in this election received exactly 0 votes. Yep. This is the only time where a candidate has failed to earn even one single vote. Apparently he didn't even vote for himself. Yeah. That's rough. I mean, yeah, giant field, but still. Apparently 6 candidates in the race received only 2 votes. It's like maybe them and their spouse or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, Canadian history. First time an official candidate for an election in Canada finished an election with exactly 0 votes. And, oof, yeah. I mean, I don't think he ever seriously expected to win, but man, can't even get anybody behind you. I feel like everybody should be able to at least get a couple votes, but probably, I mean, part of it was that it was a small election for a small city government job and not a big national election, so, but still. Anyway, thanks, Ben Hooper from UPI, for the article, Canadian candidate becomes the first ever to receive 0 votes. Now, my next one comes from the world of animal lovers, and I'm an animal lover. This in particular is about little kitty cats, and some people say that they have trouble knowing if their cat is happy or not. Now, I don't think that's a big problem for a lot of cat owners. I think a lot of cat owners know exactly what the cat is feeling. But someone said, hey, this is a problem. And what do we do when we have a problem in the modern era? We make an app for that. So, yes, this one is also coming out of Canada. This one specifically from Alberta, a land that loves their cats because they famously have no rats in Alberta. Look it up. There are no rats in Alberta at all. The entire province is free of rats. It's amazing. Nothing for the poor kitty cats to eat. But yeah, the animal health technology company called Sylvester.ai, which I hate AI, but still, they made an app called Tably that uses the phone's camera to determine if a feline is in pain or having some kind of discomfort. Now, this is actually kind of one that they're hoping to use for a medical purpose. In particular, if the cat is in pain. So if the cat has an injury or perhaps some sort of internal discomfort due to an illness or an organ not quite working properly, apparently there are expressions and stuff that a cat does that do register on their faces, and this app is supposed to say, hey, we think your cat might be in pain. And they're never saying no. They're straight up saying, do not use this as a diagnostic tool. Do not use this as a guarantee that your cat is injured. But what they're hoping to do is to be people to be like, hey, my cat's acting a little weird. Use this app. Oh, the app says the cat's in pain. We recommend taking your cat to a veterinary professional. So, yeah, that could be useful. But yeah. The app learns, they used lots of pictures of cats. So, I mean, I guess it's not a generative AI, so it's more of a predictive and combining thing kind of AI. So a little less bad. But yeah, it's learned patterns through thousands and thousands of pictures of cats, and well, hopefully it works. But yeah, I think it could be useful because sometimes, animals aren't able to express the pain they're in. Because sometimes you just got a grouchy cat. There's some cats that are just, not nice. And, if a nice, sweet, loving cat suddenly becomes grouchy and mean, you might know that something's up. But, it could be useful. Not sure how I feel about it, but, hey, cat app. We like cats. Cats are cute. So, thank you, Matthew Stock from Reuters, for the article Feline OK, the app that tells you if your cat's happy. But the article didn't say anything about the cat being happy. It said something about the cat being in pain. Come on, headline writers. Read the article before you... Come on. All right. I have to warn you, this next one may be disturbing. There's some disturbing imagery about to come up there. Don't worry, it's nothing violent. Nothing, but, well. So a company has been trying to work with robotics and making synthetic flesh that will be used for androids and stuff. And they've built one, and, this artificial flesh with engineering skin tissue, they've taught it to smile, and this is the result. Just let that soak in for a little bit. Yeah, this is science, people. This is what science does. This is the engineering that we have in the world today. This is doing it on its own. This is not being moved by some other mechanism underneath. This is the flesh doing it on its own. And yes, Cannon Fodder, I agree. I also hate it. Yeah, so this is a Japanese company has done this, of course. And Tokyo University researchers have been some of the primary people doing this. And yeah, the skin moves on its own. It's using muscles. It's artificial muscles that are getting electronic signals and are acting accordingly. Very similar to the way that actual muscles work. And apparently using this process, they think that they'll be able to have artificial flesh that can heal itself. And yeah, I don't know. This seems like a point where we could be making artificial animals, and that's just... I'm not sure how I feel about that. And they say that they're working to add sensors, pores, sweat glands, fat, all the things that are in a real animal. They're working towards it. They're literally trying to make biological... I just keep smiling over and over. I'm so sorry. Look... I would say look into this, read it full, because I can't even go even close into the amount of detail that went into this thing. It's really fascinating. It's amazing that they've been able to do this, but it creeps me the heck out, and I don't like it. I don't like it. But yeah, thank you, Bill Chappelle of NPR News for the article. A robot gets a face of living skin that allows it to smile, and sometimes smiling ain't all it's cracked up to be. So we're gonna call the news done, because that's enough disturbing stuff and poop-related stuff for one episode. We want to, because our guest today is very cozy. We want to have a nice cozy stream. We're going to move into some coziness. So let me hop behind the desk. All right. My guest today is somebody who I've known for a few years, tangentially. We both did Kyoko's poetry nights together. She's a nice, cozy VTuber who loves the cozy cottagecore feel, and she is a living doll, but she'll tell you more about that herself. Everybody, I would like to welcome to the stage, Razaldia!
Woo! Woo! I'm so glad to be here! Woohoo! Hello. That smile is gonna live in my nightmares.
Yeah, I apologize. I was starting to go through the news. I'm like, oh god, Razaldia's nice and cozy. This week's news was not nice and cozy.
It was something, but the smile, I was like, ooh, I don't like that
That
one.
is, I mean, god, where's that technology going to be 30 years from now? You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's,
I mean, could be cool. Did we need to make it smile and look like Thomas the Tank Engine? I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, well, if not smiling, what facial expressions would you recommend they have done?
I think I just wouldn't have started with a face. I would have just been like, look, we can make it move like on an arm with a muscle.
Oh, like make a little hand and be like, look, it can curl a finger.
Yeah. I wouldn't have gone right for a face.
Yeah. Faces are the thing that are most easily disturbing. It's just like, I always say, hey, you want to get into drawing? Start with still life and nature. Because if something is off, it still looks good. Trying to draw human faces is the hardest thing to draw. And have it look good.
Humans have just always looked for faces. It's like one of the earliest pieces of quote-unquote art is like a rock that looks like a face. Mm-hmm. It's like found art. So yeah. We're good at recognizing them, and we know when they are uncanny valley.
Yeah. That's the thing, is just like trying to do really good photorealistic art is so hard, because it's amazing how you can seem to have almost everything exactly right, and then it's just like, nope, that doesn't look right. So then when you see artists who have actually, painted to the level where it does look realistic and doesn't have the uncanny valley effect, you gotta appreciate that artist.
Oh, for sure.
So much. I love going to art. You go to art museums often? You got a good one near you?
I do, actually. I majored in art history in school, so I've been to a lot of art museums. I tend to take a very long time in the galleries, though, so when I go, I'm very slow. I sit in front of pieces of art for a long time.
I'm the same way, and I always go with... I never go alone, and so the person that I'm with is like, can we move on? I'm like, no, I'm staring at the detailed brushwork of this piece.
Exactly. Yeah. I always tell people, like, I'll meet you in a different wing. I'll meet you ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, earlier this year, the Minneapolis Institute of Art did a big thing where they had a flower, like the art in bloom, they called it. And they chose like a bunch of pieces from there, and they had people do floral arrangements that were inspired by the piece of art.
Ooh, and that's really fun.
So you'd have the art piece, and then you'd see this gorgeous flower display that would have like all the same colors as the artwork, and like even tried to do the same layout. And it was like, oh, it was so cool. It was so cool.
Oh, that does sound cool. Probably smelled really nice too.
It did. The only downside is during that event, the place is packed. Yeah. We got there a half hour before the museum opened, and even then, we barely got to park nearby.
Popular exhibitions are tough, because it's hard to, like, it's not as fun to go through a gallery when it's, like, seat like floor to floor, like wall to wall with people. So when you're when you show up and there's a big line, it's always like, oh, drat.
Yeah, but we got to see what we wanted to see. It was good. It was nice. It was real nice. Well, this is your first time on Sunday Dusk, and some of us might not know you too well. Why don't you tell us a little about who is Razaldia?
Yeah, so my name is Razaldia. I go by Raz for short because Razaldia is a long name. It's quite a lot of letters. I am obviously a marionette, and I play a lot of farming sims. It's not the only games that I've played in my life, but I find them to be the most fun, so I do a lot of very cozy, comfy farming streams. I also like to garden in real life, so we'll sometimes talk about I don't know, like real life applications of some of the things going on in farming sims. And yeah, occasionally I'll collab and play something else, but usually I'm farming.
Well, we're so happy to have you here today. It is kind of, a farming season. It's a good time to be tending to the plants. Now you said you're a pretty good gardener in real life.
I don't want to say I'm good, but I do it a good bit. I'm quite chaotic. I'm very it's survival of the fittest in my garden bed, so let's put it that way.
Yeah, because me and my ladybird friend, we decided to try growing some stuff this year, and we had one that we did with cherry tomatoes and peppers, and we had one where we did herbs, a little herb garden.
Ooh.
The peppers and the tomatoes are thriving. They're big. We've got buds growing. We're going to get a crop out of it. It's great. We even got a bunch of peppers already growing. The herbs are all dead. Every one of them.
Herbs can be tricky.
Yeah.
People make them out to be extremely hardy, but not all of them are.
Yeah.
And sometimes they get predated on by animals, to be honest.
And I'm like, oh, we're going to try and grow some cilantro. Cool. All right. Well, we paid like $1.50 for these cilantro plants, and we're trying to grow them, and then they've all withered away and died. And then I go to the grocery store, and I see I can buy a bundle that's 3 times larger than the amount we would have grown for $1. And it's like, why am I bothering?
Some things are definitely more economical to buy from the professionals. So there's plenty of things that I recommend to actually just, you can grow it if you have fun with it, but maybe it's not the best for saving money per se.
Our biggest money-saving bounty this year has been, something that was named after you. Raspberries.
Oh, that's the best. I love berry bushes.
I have like a 10-foot by 10-foot area that 2 years ago I put some raspberry shoots in, and last year, so the first year obviously got nothing. The shoots grew, but didn't really get much. Last year I got a decent amount, probably about 100 berries over the year.
Nice.
This year, the bounty of raspberries.
Yeah, you're gonna be
unbelievable.
You're going to be eating a lot of raspberries, I'm sure.
We've had to start freezing them because we don't eat them fast enough before they get moldy. So it's just like, freeze them. But, the best thing I did is I took a bunch of them, mashed them up real good, and then put them into a mason jar, and then filled that mason jar with vodka. And let that soak. Raspberry jam, Hasio, back when I was in middle school, I made raspberry jam with raspberries from our garden, and I was in 4-H at the time, and I took Best in Show at the county fair, and got to go to the state fair, and then I took Best in Show at the state fair with my raspberry jam.
Killing it.
Yeah, and now, over 25 years later, I have no idea how to do it. I know that involves pectin and sugar and a lot of boiling and being very careful with your boiling to make sure that you get it in, you don't want botulism in there. It's a tricky process.
No. Yeah.
Which now makes me think that my mom probably did most of the work when I was in middle school. But I mean,
or at least checked it.
But I mean, when you present it at the fairs and stuff, you have to know the full process. I've just forgotten. You ever made jams or preserves?
I have, but I've never canned them. I have canning equipment, but usually by the time I get to the stage where I would be canning it, it's like the middle of summer. My house is hot, and I say, I don't want to be boiling water.
Fair. Although,
So,
we never canned it, we jarred it, but, I imagine the process is similar.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, canning. God, that's a pain in the butt to open.
Yes. Yup. And you have to be super careful with how you store canned goods, like you said. Like, the point is that the top pops off if it has botulism in there, so you can't like layer 2 layers of cans or jars of preserves, because
Yep.
if the weight is on them, then they could have botulism or something else gross growing, and then the top won't pop off and you won't know.
And then bad things happen.
And then bad things happen.
But isn't it crazy to think about, agriculturally, it's just like the history of food. It's like, how did we first learn to do this?
Mm-hmm.
But I imagine it's kind of like evolution, where it's just small steps.
Yeah.
Small steps.
Yeah.
Somebody
It
does-
also helps with the history of food that botulism is quite rare. Like, we have all these steps so that no one gets botulism, but everyone's like, well, my grandmother, she never did that. It's like, well, she only didn't die because she was lucky, not because she was, preventing botulism every time. But
We call that survivorship bias.
exactly.
Yeah, I always love the ones just like, how did we ever survive the 1970s without these things? And then somebody showed a picture of like a child graveyard saying, we didn't.
We didn't. Yeah. Lots of people didn't make it.
Yeah. Turns out we're actually living in like the safest period in human history.
Oh,
Certainly
for sure.
in American history. Like,
Yeah.
things are objectively safer in pretty much every aspect of life than they've ever been.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah.
They definitely are.
But you wouldn't know that if you watch a lot of news.
No.
Yeah. No. That's why I like to start my show with positive stuff. I have a big rule for the branch news. No violence. Ever.
Mm-hmm.
I would say pooping in the River Seine is probably about as crude as I'm going to get.
Well, that's one you could laugh about it. I mean, you're like, ew,
Yeah.
gross, but gross is better than depressing or upsetting.
The idea of pooping into a river that your president's about to swim in is hilarious.
It is. It is.
We had no violence, but we had tons of tank engine.
Yeah, that is true. We did have
God.
that.
Yeah. What do you plan to use this technology for? Oh, we're going to put it on the front of trains.
Don't tempt him. Don't give him any ideas.
Look, even as a child, Thomas the Tank Engine was disturbing to me. Like, that is... Like, there's something very unsettling about Thomas the Tank Engine's look.
Yes.
And all the other ones. And, like, have you seen the story about the train that, like, didn't want to be a train, so they just bricked him up in a tunnel?
Yes. Terrifying.
Yeah, it's like, we're not going to kill you, but we're going to put you in darkness, solitary confinement for all of eternity. Like, that is horrifying!
Actually, there's lots of children's media that have some disturbing themes or stories, I've found.
And honestly, I think new children's media needs to have a little bit more of that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Bluey. Bluey is amazing. But,
Mm-hmm.
we do need a little bit of darker media, which, some of it is. It's just like, cartoons like Avatar, The Last Airbender, or She-Ra. They go to some pretty dark places at some points. But those are really more aimed for, like, 10 to 12-year-old kids, I think. Yeah. But I think kids can handle a little bit of darkness. I mean, we just recently watched How to Train Your Dragon 2 on Twig's Missing Movies, and that movie's got some dark times. I mean, okay, I don't want to spoil it, but like a major character dies because of the actions of another major character and both are good guys. It's like, yeah, that's kind of dark for a kid's movie.
Yeah, for sure.
I think about the stuff I grew up with, Never Ending Story, Labyrinth.
Yeah.
What we need a new Jim Henson.
Mm,
Because, I mean,
yes.
Jim Henson, I think, is the king of children's programming.
Yeah, I agree.
But do you have a favorite Muppet movie?
I used to watch the Muppet Christmas Carol like
Oh, it's the best.
every year, and I have a deep fondness for that one.
I mean, Michael Caine just kills it.
Just killed it, considering he was acting with no one. Like
Well,
acting.
they say that the reason the two best Muppet movies are Christmas Carol and Treasure Island. Christmas Carol works because Michael Caine treated the Muppets as fellow actors.
Hmm.
Uh, Treasure Island worked because Tim Curry treated himself as a Muppet.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Yes, I wish I could say I came up with that. I don't remember where I did, but so one thing I wanted to ask you about, you were talking about your cozy games, and you like to play farming sims, and
Hmm.
I've
Hmm.
only dabbled a little bit into them, but I mean they're kind of fun, cute little games. And every time I see you streaming, yeah, you're either playing a Harvest Moon game or you play Stardew Valley a lot too, right?
I did a bit. Stardew is actually the farming sim fans might be shocked to find Stardew is not my favorite farming sim.
Shocking.
I know. Um, I think it's good for a lot of people, and I appreciate that Stardew came out on PC when it did. It came out during kind of a drought in farming sims, and it introduced a lot of people to the genre. So I appreciate that. Also, I think the modding has very much helped its lifestyle, its life span, I should say, because as mods have come out, you can do more. But yeah, there's lots of other farming sims out there. My favorite farming sim of all time is actually Doraemon Story of Seasons Friends of the Great Kingdom. It's incredible. It's amazingly written. The combo between the Doraemon team and the Story of Seasons team was just like a match made in heaven. But yeah, there's tons of really good farming sims, interesting farming sims out there. There's some that have combat, there's some that are very, very intensive and realistic with the farming. So yeah, I always say that there's probably a farming sim for everybody out there, but you have to find the right one.
Question: Is
Yes.
Cult of the Lamb a farming sim?
So I would say Cult of the Lamb is maybe closer to like a colony sim, but because you have farming, it's like a big part of your colony situation. But technically not a farming sim in that farming is not the main gameplay element. Let's
Yeah,
put it that way.
kind of like you could make Minecraft into a farming sim if you wanted
Uh
to.
huh. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Or like we played Harvestella was like a big release by Square Enix, and I would not classify Harvestella as a farming sim because technically the farming is a in kind of ingenious way that they included for you to grind for materials that you need later on in the story. But yeah, the farming is not the main the main point in Harvestella at all.
Interesting. Well, from what I understand, the main point of any farming simulator is to find a spouse.
Some of them. It's funny because many of my favorites are the ones where you don't find a spouse. But yes, many of them, because they're in the life sim genre, and to be fair, a lot of them take place in rural communities where, if you think about it, at least traditionally and historically in rural communities, family was your main source of labor. And so having a spouse and a family and celebrating a marriage is like a big historical cornerstone there. So I understand why the romance element is so key in
Well,
so many.
I mean, when I see farming sims, this is basically what I think. You know, the TV show Farmer Wants a Life.
Yes. That's kind of how many of them are. Yeah. A lot of them don't have most of the depth in a lot of farming sims does come in the romance bit and less in the farming or the I don't know, the other life sim elements, let's say.
Well, I mean, the OG of farming sims has got to be Harvest Moon, right?
Yes, the very first farming sim was Harvest Moon SNES. I believe it came out, I want to say, in 1996 in Japan.
96.
Yeah. And then they kind of were the only ones doing farming sims for a while. There have been some other, even like Japanese companies that have tried things like Shepherd's Crossing, but they are the titan in the space, I would say.
Yes, and well, in fact, you even brought me a little friend from that. Yeah, look at him.
I
Here he is.
did.
Here he is. He's going to sit on the windowsill.
There's Koro. He
It's
is
Carl.
dog from Harvest Moon SNES. He runs onto your farm and you get given him and he does great work.
Now, you've talked about things that you've done and things, like, to you, what is it that makes like, what are the aspects of a good farming sim to you? Like, what makes a farming sim good to you?
So, for me, the most important thing, it's going to sound really obvious, but the farming has to feel good. It doesn't necessarily have to be a wide variety of crops that you're growing, but having some kind of complexity in the horticultural aspect or the ranching aspect is important. And I think for me, the more lifelike they are, the better in some cases. That's not necessarily true of my favorite ones, but I do love like the original Harvest Moon, A Wonderful Life. In order to have milk, you had to have cows have calves. So it was like, if you want milk, you have to actually plan out your year so that you have a cow and you get a calf. And yeah, I've recently played Sakuna of Rice and Ruin, where you only grow rice, but it was very accurate to the temperature of the water, the level of the water, different fertilizers that you would be using to kind of increase your yield and improve your crops. So some kind of complexity there has to kind of make it more interesting for me. And then usually my preference is to have at least some sort of either story or liveliness to the rest of the world outside your farm. So if I'm allowed to leave and go to a village, I don't want to see the same dialogue every day. I want seasons to change. I want events to happen. I want people to have some growth. But yeah, mainly it's the farming has to be fun and have something, a little spice, a little something happen in there.
Huh. I mean, that kind of makes a lot of sense. You don't want to just be like, plant a crop and then wait and then it's ready to go. You want to actually have to maintain it and do it properly. And yeah. And, it's kind of funny. You mentioned the thing with the cows. It's like, of course a cow needs to have a calf to produce milk. But I had never even thought about that. But, like, of course they do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a trend in a lot of the Harvest Moon games were quite realistic in a lot of aspects, but that also meant that like animals died, animals got sick, you could lose animals to like weather events, and that was hard. I think they it made people feel bad when all of their animals got like swept away in a typhoon. So they started taking out some of the more
dead animal aspects.
Dead animal aspects, or in some cases, like the things that would force you to plan your farm in a way that you wouldn't want. But I kind of like those. I wish they would bring those back.
Yeah. Are there, like, of any of the games you played where you raised chickens, are there any games where there's a possibility of a fox coming in and eating your chickens?
So there's not a possibility of, at least not in the modern ones. I mean, some of them, so like Stardew and stuff, if you leave animals outside, they can get killed. And you don't ever see it. It's not like a cutscene. The old Harvest Moons used to have terrifying cutscenes of animals dying. But no, there's no like cutscene for it. But sometimes animals will be snatched if they're out overnight. Usually these days, it's more like your animal just gets sick if it's left out. But interestingly, in Sakuna, you get ducks, and your ducks help to kill pests. In your rice paddy, in your rice field, and at the end of the year you can choose to slaughter all of your ducks if you want more meat.
Oh wow. Okay.
And then you get new ducks in the spring, but you can either keep them, let them go, like release them into the wild, or call them, which is a little dark. We never called them.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, everybody. I forgot to launch tits and people
Oh,
people are just
no!
doing like. Hold on a second. I'm starting it up. I can't believe I forgot to do the secondary stuff. I know I was forgetting something. I'm like, oh no, Hasio did the honk, but the honk never happened.
We were chatty before stream. That's probably
we
why.
were chatty. It's okay. It's okay. Hey, Bentai, you want to just, accept all the redeems right now? Can you go ahead and do that, Bentai? Or Hasio, you can do it too. Yeah, one mods. Just go ahead and accept all those things right now, and I'll just take all my punishments all at once. You rejected them, actually? Ah. Okay, that's fine. Let's see. We need, what the hell are these? Power-ups? Why are these things up on top of my things that I don't want? Let's see. We need to have a honk. There we go. Wow, that one came in fast. Let's see. We need to have a Bentato. There we go. Ow. Oh, I don't think we really missed too many others. Not a lot of redeems happening today. Yay! Oh, God, I should actually have my gifts that I've gotten in this as throwable objects.
Oh, that'd be
Throw
funny.
a random gift at me. That would be fun. Someone could throw this little dog at me. Oh, just do it. Well, demonstration.
Drink some
There
water.
goes Koro.
Oh, we gotta drink
Aggressing.
some water. Drink some water, too. Kyoko demanded that when I drink water, my guest has to drink water, too.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
Yes. We believe in hydration. Well, we're talking about planting and gardening. Got to keep your plants hydrated.
Mm-hmm.
But not
Yes,
overhydrated. Can you? Any of the games you
No.
play, can you overwater your plants?
Trying to think. In Sakana, you can definitely leave your water too high. You're supposed to actually drain your rice field at a certain point. In real life too. I'm trying to think of any of the others. I don't think they can generally be overwatered, but certainly in real life, root rot is a problem.
It's a thing. Yeah, we've gotten a lot of rain lately, and gotta drain your pots sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Very important. If you're planting in containers, you have to watch out for that.
One thing I've been trying to grow a lot recently in my gardens is native wildflowers.
Love that.
Yeah. I have many big bumblebees in my yard. We love the bumblebees.
Yay!
my
favorite.
I've also been converting my lawn from grass to clover.
Yes. That's the best. Grass is trash.
Grass is trash.
Get rid of it.
And it's just like I look out there and it's not too tall and we got little white flowers everywhere and the bumblebees are happy. And the only problem with clover is it doesn't hold up to a lot of foot traffic. So if you have children and pets, it doesn't do so well. But there are a lot of actually alternatives out there. Like, God, I can't remember what it's called, but there's one that like it kind of grows almost like a carpet, like it's a mat. And it's really tough to things growing on it. It makes a nice green cover. It requires very little water to stay tough. And it's a nice green cover for your yard that can be walked on a lot and hold up. And yeah, it's like, yeah, there's no we've all decided that we need to have these pristine manicured lawns because some guy in Victorian England said we should.
We can trace a lot of bad decisions back to Victorian England.
Like referring to groups of people like me as a murder.
Yes.
Come on, a murder.
Mm-hmm.
It's like all those names for like animal groups is just because some society of men in the Victorian area decided to just make up names for groups of animals and they stuck. And that's all it was. Just some guys just made it up over a weekend, probably while drunk.
Most likely. Almost assuredly.
Let's call a group of flamingos a flamboyance. That's perfect.
Yeah, they were fond of that kind of thing.
What's the collective term for a group of marionettes?
Probably
a troupe.
A troupe, probably.
Troupe?
Yeah.
Now, do you have any kind of affinity towards dolls and stuff? Do you collect dolls? You ever built dolls or perform?
I don't really collect dolls, which might seem weird as a marionette. I don't really even collect figures much. Though, I guess I am getting into Warhammer the Old World, so it depends on if you just think minis are kind of like figures or dolls. I'm soon to have a lot of them, but yeah, otherwise not really. I'm kind of a minimalist as far as a lot of materialistic stuff, so I don't like a lot of clutter, and I need my collections to be able to be like put away.
Now, is this a Warhammer Fantasy thing? Is it like the new?
hmm Yeah, the old world is like them bringing back Warhammer Fantasy with like an AU before they blew up the world, I guess.
Yes. I remember because I never played Warhammer Fantasy, and I remember like Age of Sigmar caused a lot of things, but like I had a little Skaven warband for the game Mordheim.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was like a little small squad based game, and so I bought just like a pack of rats to have as a little. And then I
Yeah.
made a 40k army, a Skaven 40k army, where it was Imperium forces, but I was using like Skaven models, but I like
Uh-huh.
would take like a Space Marine, but put like a Skaven head on it instead of the Marine head. Um, and then there was like some other like there was like space rats from like another game, but I was able to use it. Like it
I
was a
love
totally
that.
converted army. It was all Skaven, and I said like, oh, they use like their warp crystals and stuff, and through like a warp magic, they got teleported into the year 40k. And then they witnessed a battle and started scavenging equipment that they could find, and then yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I even used one of the because there's like this giant vermin lord model that's about the same size as Imperial Knight, so I just
hmm
used that guy as an Imperial Knight. It worked.
That's great.
Yeah, yeah, but I haven't played in almost 5 years now. Basically, once the pandemic hit, I had already started losing interest in 40k. They, that was also the time I was really starting to get into improv, and I was like, 40k community is nothing but straight white dudes who
hmm
are many of whom have very different political opinions than me. And then in
hmm
improv, it's super diverse and great people and I don't know. I just felt like such more of a better community, and I was happier. And also, it's just like the competitive aspect of 40k. Sometimes it brought out sides of me that I don't like.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
like
very
like
fair.
especially in a tournament setting where there's actual stakes, you know, I would
hmm
get like I would get mad during games if I was like losing or things weren't going my way, and I'm like, this is a game. I'm playing a game with another person. This is supposed to be fun. We're not supposed to play
Yeah.
games to get mad. And I'm like, but what am I
Yeah.
doing, you know? And I don't want to make my opponent uncomfortable too. It's just like, I think any game, your first priority should be making sure everybody else is having a good time.
Yeah, and like I understand competitive games. I do think Warhammer kind of suffers from because you roll dice, there is like an inherent RNG aspect, which I think makes the competitive thing a little bit harder to be consistent, at
Mm-hmm.
least. Um, so yeah, I think in that sense, it must be tough to compete in tournaments because again, you could just roll really badly and be like, well, everything fizzles, nothing I do
Yeah.
goes the way I wanted to.
Oh, trust me, there's times where it's just like I could have maybe won this thing if just these two dice rolls just went slightly different. If I just
Right.
rolled this when I needed to roll it, and like for a while, in the old rules, I don't know if it's still the rules now because it's gone through multiple editions, but like there was an possibility. It's like the game could end after 5 turns, 6 turns, or 7 turns, and sometimes you would win at the end of turn 5, but you lose at the end of turn 6. And if that
Yeah.
one single six-sided dice roll had just gone differently, you would have won the game. And it's just like,
hmm
really? It's going to come down to that?
Yeah, that's why I find it like kind of I think it's important to then like you said in that sense when a dice roll can really determine it. I think it's better to just have fun and ensure that everyone's just having fun. But I understand that when you enter a tournament, I don't know, like you have hopes of winning and there's stuff at stake and I don't know. It makes emotions kind of everyone's tense.
Yeah. Well, and as Dife had just mentioned, use weighted dice. People have been caught doing that at tournaments using
Yeah.
cheating dice and stuff like that. I mean, one of the guys who was like one of the top players in the world got caught cheating, and people had been suspected that he had been cheating because his dice rolls always seemed to go exactly how he needed them to. And yeah, then at one of the tournaments, one of the organizers did a test because it turns out if you use soapy water, you can put dice in it and they'll float. And if your dice are weighted, the same side will always be pointing up at the top of it. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And they put his dice in there, and all of his dice floated up so that a 6 was facing up. Interesting. Interesting.
That reminds me of like the early days. I don't know if you played Magic the Gathering at all, but the early days of Magic, like competitive Magic.
That is when I played, was the early days. I don't even recognize
all
the game
the people
anymore.
that played in like all those big tournaments, a lot of them were old card sharks, and they would always be hiding like cards in their sleeves or marking cards. Or there's some old like Magic like championships where you can tell that both people are cheating at the table at the same time.
Cheater versus cheater, always a fun matchup.
And they knew it too. I think both of them knew that they were cheating, so they were getting aggressive with each other.
Yeah, you gotta imagine there's people that also knew how to like stack the deck and shuffling to make sure that the cards they needed early on were there early on. Yeah, even if they let their opponent cut the deck, they would still somehow find a way, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Like they'd put cards in particular places that they knew they could access later.
Yeah, that's why I guess board games and stuff, it's something that's better played with friends at home than in a tournament setting. You know, there's people that play Dungeons and Dragons in public spaces, and I would never do that. They do it, they have fun doing it, I think that's great, but like
a park or like
at like breweries or like game stores and stuff like that. Like one of the local breweries I go to has D&D nights, and like
I guess it depends on the nature of your game and your role players.
Is that weirder than streaming it? I don't know if it's more or less weird. Streaming can be interesting because if you have fans who regularly go in. So here's the thing with D&D. The campaign is only interest to the people that are playing it or observing the entire thing. So if somebody tries, if you have like a D&D campaign and you want to tell somebody about it, the other person doesn't care. Nobody cares about your D&D campaign except for the people in it. Like, maybe if you pulled off something really extraordinary, but, I mean, but when you have, like, streamed ones, your viewers can be there from the beginning and they can get engaged in the story because they've been there for every part of it. So I think that's different. I think streaming it's a little different. Whereas if you're playing in a public place, random people aren't going to know the story and the background and everything that's going on. It's just like, hey, there's that table of people being loud. And like, that's the thing is sometimes when I play D&D, we get very exuberant. I wouldn't want to be like that in public.
Yeah. I think if your group could keep things chill and I guess if the subject matter of your RPing was appropriate for a public space, not too much seducing of NPCs, let's say, then maybe it's fine. But yeah, like you said, like if you're getting really exuberant or it gets to a point where I guess maybe if you're being disruptive, then maybe not the best to do in public.
I've never cared for seduction and stuff like that in my D&D camp. It just feels cringy to me. Romance is not that simple. You don't just go up to somebody in a bar and roll a d20 and be like, well, I have a high charisma. I guess we're gonna... It's, I don't know. It's, to me, anytime that topics come into D&D, to me, it's just always felt really awkward and weird.
I get it. Yeah, I think it has to be approached in a very particular way. Let's put it that way. And let's just say I'm a nerd myself, but most of the nerds that I've met don't have IRL charisma high enough to roleplay charisma high. Let's put it that way.
Reminds me of one of my favorite lines from Gravity Falls. Only nerds could consider charisma to be a fantasy skill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Uh,
So,
but yeah,
but
it
yeah,
is always
better.
kind of weird when you're having like how do you role play a character who has more wisdom and intelligence than yourself?
I don't know. That's a fine question.
That's why it's just like I've seen some DMs that be like, nope, anything that your character says, you have to role play it out. But it's just like, well, not everybody's capable of putting the correct words together, and part of it is to say,
Mm-mm.
hey, I roll the dice, my character comes up with the right words to say, and as a DM, you could say that, or maybe give the gist, but to come up with the exact
Yeah.
words, I think is asking a bit much of people, especially if somebody's a little bit socially awkward or,
Yeah.
neurodivergent or something like that. I think it's okay to let your character be smarter than you are.
Yeah, I think so too. And like you said, like that style of DMing is a little bit more like action oriented and in character light, which can be really good for some people. Like it
Yeah.
puts less burden on people to do all the improv acting. So as long as everyone's on the same page, I think that style works out well for people.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I love role playing and acting things out. I mean, I'm in several improv troops. Improv is one of
Hmm.
my thing. I want to do a D&D campaign with just improv people because I
Yeah,
think that'd
that'd
be
be
great.
fun. Hmm. Yeah, that'd be really entertaining, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I think some of the what is it? Like Tales from the Magic Tavern or something like that. I think a lot of the people that do that podcast are improvisers. There
Hmm.
have been like D&D podcasts with famous improvisers, so it's a
Yes.
thing. It's a thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, this has been a lovely conversation, but it's past 8 o'clock, so you know what time it is. It's the most
It's
important time of the day.
yeah.
It's time for Bird of the Day.
Bird of the
Bird
day.
of the
Bird.
day! Bird of the
Woohoo.
day! Woo! Okay,
Burbs.
going over to Bird of the Day. Quick, move yourself to the bottom right. Yay, you did it! All right. Oh, we still have a dog on the screen.
Oh, dog.
All right.
Come here.
Nope, he's just gonna go right there. That
There
seems
you
like a
go.
good spot for him. Little
Perfect.
puppy on my head. Little puppy on my head. All right. Well, you gave me a list of birds that you thought
I
might be
did.
good birds of the day. So one was the pileated woodpecker, old woody woodpecker.
Hmm.
We've done that before. Wild
Yep.
turkey. Oh, come on! My very first Thanksgiving that I was a streamer. Of course, I did the turkey then, and then the woodcock. Well, swiggity swooty, got to get that booty. We love the woodcock, but already did them. In fact,
Hmm.
I think all of those might have been year one bird of the days. I mean, great ones. But the last one you picked
OG birds of the day.
ended up being far more interesting than I thought, and that bird is the black vulture. Look at
Woohoo!
that handsome fellow. That is a goth bird right there.
They're very goth. I have
So
several
goth.
that live by my house, and they come down in a little troop, and they're the most goth birds ever, and I love them so much.
Yeah, they're pretty cool looking. I mean, love those black feathers. They got that oh, those wrinkly little heads of theirs. Love their
Yes.
wrinkly little bald heads and good powerful beaks. But let's learn a little bit about them. Well, they are 22 to 29 inches long, with a pretty big wingspan, 52 to 66. Of course, vultures known for being soaring birds, so of course they're going to have big
Hmm.
old wings. Vultures have real big wings.
Yeah.
They weigh about 2.6 to 4.3 pounds, and is as typical for birds of prey of this size. The females are actually between 10 to 15% bigger than the males, which is
Oh.
interesting. And their average lifespan is 5 to 10 years. Though in captivity, they regularly live over 20. And the
Wow.
oldest that was ever recorded was actually a wild one that was 26 years and 5 months old when she died.
Wow.
So,
That's very old.
so yeah, they have a capacity for a pretty good lifespan. Although that is significantly shorter than other vultures. Condors and turkey vultures tend to live 30 plus years. They're much
Oh.
longer lived. But what's the interesting thing is the turkey vulture, the California condor, the Andean condor, the bearded vulture. Those are all aciptriforms. That is the same order that has hawks and eagles in it. But the black vulture is a cathartiform. They're actually not technically a vulture. They are in a completely different taxonomical order than all other vultures. And in fact, the order Cathartiforms only has a few species. It's a very small order. So these guys kind of are by themselves and not actually closely, but it's kind of one of those instances of evolution reaching the same endpoint in two different paths, which is kind of cool. Crabs have done that like 6 times.
Yeah. Yeah.
In fact, eventually all vultures will evolve into crabs, you know.
Yeah.
All
we're all going to be crabs.
We'll all be crabs. As you can see, their range, though, is they are in the Americas, going, you know, all the way up into the United States, down through most of the Caribbean and Central America, and then also in most of South America, only not in those southern parts of Chile and Argentina. So pretty broad range. The interesting thing about that broad range is that they do not migrate. And the variance in size, like 2.6 or 4.3 pounds, that's a pretty big variance. And depending on where they live will affect how big they are. There's divergent populations that, you know, almost think of it as slightly different breeds of dog almost.
Right.
But like not quite as much variance as that, but still technically the same species. So interesting. Yeah, because there's a couple subspecies of these guys.
Okay.
Yeah, they're considered subspecies because they could mate with each other and have fertile offspring.
Right.
But I mean, that's the thing with species. It's like order, pretty clear lines. Family, yeah, pretty clear lines. Genus, kind of blurry lines. Species, it's a blur. There's really no good, solid definition of species that works across all animal populations. It's tricky stuff. But so these fellas, usually when they're about 2 or 3 years old, that's when they're going to start doing the mating stuff. The males are going to do a little dance on the ground where they kind of like circle the female. They get their wings all spread out. They do just this cute little dance. And if the female's like, hey, I like what you're doing, she'll start dancing back. And then they kind of do a little dance together. And then they start mating. And they do mate for long periods of time. It's very, very rare that a couple will only mate for 1 season, and they often mate for life, but not always. Not always.
Oh.
So they may mate for, 3 to 5 seasons, and maybe she's just like, I don't think you're helping contribute raise the kids as much. I'm breaking up with you.
They're open to divorce.
Yeah, they're open to divorce. Well, if they even get married in the first place, I don't know. I guess if they dance together, that's bird marriage.
Yeah,
that's the same as putting a ring on it. Now, interesting thing is they don't nest up in trees. They nest on the ground. They dig a little hole in the ground and just put the eggs right in there. Now, here's the weird thing. They gather material for the nest, but they don't put it in the nest. They don't get like small soft spots. They just let the egg sit right there in the mud hole that they dug. But they'll use like feathers of other birds or sticks and stuff, and they'll like put it around the nest, but not in the nest, and like decorate it. Now, like, that's interesting. And they often like to find things that are shiny. So like if they'll like take man-made objects like glass bottles sometimes or plastic and make like little colorful stuff. It's like they do some little decorating.
I love that.
Little decorating.
I love
it's
that.
Cute. Almost every clutch that they lay is going to have 2 eggs. Occasionally you'll have 1 or 3, but the overwhelming majority is 2 eggs per clutch. And once they're laid, the parents are going to take turns incubating. And once the babies are born, they're going to take turns feeding the baby chicks. So, yep, we got nice, good present dads. I always like to see that in the bird world.
We love that.
And then about 75 to 80 days is when the baby birds are finally able to fly on their own and go live their life. But they're not going to abandon their parents. They usually stick around till 1 or 2 years old until they're ready to start mating. They'll stick around. But that's nice.
Yeah.
But one thing that makes them a vulture is they are scavengers. So it's kind of weird that vultures often get lumped as birds of prey. But you think about it, they're technically not because they don't hunt. They eat things that are already dead.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not really birds of prey. They're just birds of opportunity.
In the case of the ones by my cottage, they eat the cat food that the lady next door puts out for the feral cats.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Cat food
Mm-hmm.
is actually really nutritious for birds that can eat meat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, the healthiest thing to feed a crow is cat food.
I
It's got
believe
all the
it.
nutrients we need right in there. It's good for us. The only problem is putting out cat food. If you're in a place that gets rain, wet cat food is not good.
No.
Unless it's like, canned wet cat food. That's different.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have some interesting adaptations. Their beaks are very sharp and very tough. Good for ripping through hides and stuff like that. Although the black vulture's beak is not nearly as tough as that of, say, like a condor, and a little bit less so than a turkey vulture. But their other adaptation is the bald head. Why do vultures have bald heads? Because they're sticking it inside a dead corpse. And those little gross bits that are inside a corpse stick far more easily to feathers than to bald skin. So that's actually all about hygiene and keeping themselves clean. And these guys are actually very hygienic birds. They're very good at keeping themselves clean. They regularly take baths and dust baths and clean each other off. They're very hygienic birds. For birds that like to eat dead things, they when they're done eating, they will clean themselves off because they understand that disease happens.
Mm-hmm.
Now, these guys are also not as good at flying, or in particular soaring, as other vultures. So like a turkey vulture might be able to just spread those wings out and circle for hours without flying. These guys have to do a bit more wing flapping than bigger vultures do, because their wingspan's just a little bit smaller, and they don't quite have the adaptation for it. But they're still able to stay aloft for long periods of time, because that's how they hunt. They hunt by soaring up, and they use their eyesight. These vultures have incredibly good eyesight, like amazingly good, like, puts human sight to shame. They can see nice, good details from a very long distance away, and so they'll spot a animal lying on the ground, not moving, and they're like, "Oh, dinner." But
Perfect.
they have one other strategy for finding dead animals, and that strategy is a turkey vulture. If they see turkey vultures descending on a place, black vultures will follow them and see if they can steal it. Now, here's the thing. A turkey vulture is bigger than a black vulture, stronger than a black vulture, a little more vicious than a black vulture. One-on-one, the turkey vulture is going to win every time. But here's the advantage that the black vulture has over the turkey vulture. Numbers. Sure, one turkey vulture is going to chase away a single black vulture, but 4 black vultures are going to chase away a single turkey vulture, and they're going to get that delicious, delicious dead animal, whatever it might be. And so, yeah,
they bring friends. They go with their buddy.
Yeah. So they live in family groups, usually between 5 to 20. Around a dozen is a pretty average size for a group of turkey vultures. Now, here's an interesting thing. They don't have a voice box. None at all. They cannot call, caw, squawk, sing, do any of those things. However, they have been known to make little grunting sounds. They can make little honks and grunts and stuff, but it's not coming from a vocal thing. It's just kind of quickly releasing air from their lungs, and just kind of grunt at each other. Ow! No honks either, Hasio. Thanks. So, yeah, I think it's just kind of interesting. I like how they're very much a vulture, but also not a vulture. I was very fascinated to learn about these guys. They're very interesting. And, one thing that is great is that they are a species of least concern, meaning that their populations are either stable or growing. So they are not really threatened. And in fact, they seem to be thriving. They're adapting well to the changing climate, which is good.
They're doing great.
I suppose when other species die, they benefit.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Now, I happen to have a little video. I was hanging outside taking a bath, and a black vulture approached me. So let's go ahead and watch this video. see, there I am, sitting on the bird bath. And, yeah, as you can see, a black vulture decided to come up and hang out with me. You know? Yeah, there I am, just sipping some tasty water, looking over at that guy. What's
You
he
were
doing?
drinking the bath water?
Look! It's tasty, okay? It has a nice, like, rich patina to it that people may not understand. As you can see, it was a very hot day, too. 119 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh, so
true.
hot. So hot this day. But yeah, I didn't like the look of this turkey vulture, so I had to hop off. Look at him. Majestic. Beautiful.
He's thinking about it.
Oh, there's my friend. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, look at him.
Look at him go. Oh, he's drinking it too.
Yeah, he's having a drink. But yeah, look at him when he sways his wings out. Just how big he is. Yeah, look at that wingspan. Just beautiful long feathers. Just absolutely gorgeous. Yeah. Yeah. Even the big birds got to get themselves a little drink.
Yeah.
Although
everybody's got to stay hydrated, you know?
Oddly enough, there are some birds that never drink water because they get all the water they need from the food they eat.
Yeah.
Like a lot of parrots do that just by eating berries.
Yeah, that makes sense. They're like cats that way. Cats don't tend to drink as much.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's turkey vulture scaring us away.
Yeah.
I of course had to share this video because, you know, it's got some. Was it at least Gamer Girl bathwater? Bentai? No.
We don't think so. Hopefully not.
All right. Well, my final thoughts is, I thought these birds were incredibly interesting. I love that they mate for life. I love that they're not technically vultures. Kind of like the Australian magpie is not technically a magpie. It's kind of a similar situation to that. But, you know, they're intelligent, family-oriented, and, you know, scavengers doing an important job. Cleaning up dead things is they stop the spread of disease throughout the rest of the animal world. Scavengers and vultures and stuff are extremely important to the world, and they get. I think vultures are one of the birds that probably like maybe most underrated bird. They have a bad rap for how good and important they are.
They do, yeah. Bad press, bad PR.
Bad PR. And I mean, part of it's kind of how they look. I mean, nobody likes a bald head. Everyone wants a nice, lush head full of feathers. But hey, you know what? I think they rock to look good. I mean, they're like the Patrick Stewart of birds, you know?
Yeah.
They work with it. They work with it. And, you know, they got kind of that goth look to them. You know, we love goth looks around here. You know, I'm a goth bird. We like it. So, yeah. You got any final thoughts on them?
No, I just love them. They're pretty fun. They're very big. They're much bigger than you think. Like in real life, you see one, you're like, oh my goodness, that bird's big. But they're very chill.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, condors are, like, the biggest birds native to America. And you see a condor up close, and you're like, holy crap, that thing's big.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to see a harpy eagle close up last year, and those guys are massive. And I've been up close and personal to an Andean condor as well, and it's just like, oh, you are a big boy.
Yes.
But yeah, they're nice birds.
Big birds.
And look, they take care of each other, as seen in this picture here. This is probably a mated couple right now, preening each other, taking care of each other. We like it. Good birds.
Yeah.
Good birds.
Good
Got nothing but
birds.
positive things to say about them. Good birds.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think we're going to call this bird of the day done, and we're going to get ourselves back to the studio. Yay!
Woohoo!
All right, well, we got one more segment today, and it's, well, another one of Corvus Twig's famous quizzes. Now, ow! Okay, thanks, Bentai. Appreciate that. I deserve that. So, today's quiz, well, I always like to have my quiz slightly related. Well, you're a doll. Yes?
Yes.
Well, who's the most famous doll of all time?
I don't know. Chucky?
No.
Pinocchio?
No,
I don't
not
know.
it's Barbie.
Oh,
Barbie's the most famous
okay.
doll of
All
all
right.
time.
All right.
I mean, come on, top selling doll of
Okay.
all time.
Okay.
Everyone knows
True.
Barbie. Look, the Barbie movie outdid any Child's Play. The Barbie movie probably did more than every single Chucky movie combined.
True. True.
But so we're gonna do a little quiz today about Barbie, the iconic woman doll. Very iconic for being a woman rather than a baby, because
Yes.
it let little girls, you know, plan out being an adult, and instead of
Mhm.
just I have to be the mommy to this baby, they let them create worlds of having a job. Well, Barbie famously has had probably more different jobs than any other fictional character, but she
Probably.
hasn't done every job. So in this quiz, I am going to name for you a type of Barbie, and you must tell me, is this a job that Barbie has actually had? Or did Twig make this up?
All right.
You think you can do this?
We'll try. I'll try. I'll try.
All right. All right. Well, our very first one is a magician. Has there ever been a magician Barbie?
I feel like there has to have been a magician Barbie.
So you're going to say that's a real one.
I'm gonna say that's a real one.
Okay.
I might be starting off poorly, but
Nope, you are correct.
Woo!
Magician Barbie. Look at her there.
She's done it.
Even comes with a little rabbit and top hat and table and everything.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. A lot of these come with really cool accessories. Because, I mean, come on, if you're going to be a magician, you got to have accessories.
You gotta.
And another thing I tried to do with this quiz is the picture on the left. Would I do it? I have found real women in these occupations.
Perfect.
I don't remember this woman's name, but she's a pretty famous magician. And
Nice.
she's pretty great. So, yeah. Because, I think that's one of the things that we need to celebrate is women in fields, especially fields that are not traditionally supposed to be for women. It's
Yep.
dumb. It's dumb that we've gendered jobs that have no reason to be gendered.
Yes.
But I think that's one of the things that makes Barbie so great is that it does showcase that, hey, little girl, you can be whatever you want to be when you grow up.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think that's one of the good things that the movie did was talking about that history and about why Barbie isn't just meant to be this, it's not about body image and being the beautiful, perfect woman. It's about being anything you want to be. And actually, you know what the number one reason for the proportions of a Barbie doll was? It had nothing to do with trying to make her a specific body type for appearance. It was because her body type was the only type they could get where they would let you get clothes on and off of her easily.
Oh, I see. That makes sense.
Yeah, it actually was a restriction of trying to dress and undress a doll. Her
Right.
proportions were the easiest. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
All right. Doggy daycare Barbie.
I want to say yes.
You're going to say
But
that's
I-
real?
Don't know.
Well, I need a final
Let's go
answer.
with yes. Let's go with
We're
yes.
going to go with real. And yes, it was Doggy Daycare Barbie.
Nice.
Even comes with 4 pet dogs.
She's had a lot of animal companions and
Oh,
dogs.
so many. So many. Shout out to Bunny, Bunny Ghoul, our fellow VTuber, former Sunday Dusk guest. She's a doggy daycare professional and always has so many great pictures of her clients.
Yeah,
Yes.
I bet.
Okay. One thing that I can't help but notice, it may be a little hard to see on stream here, but as you can see on the packaging there, the dogs do poop. You use a little tail action and they poop. So you get to role play Barbie picking up dog poop. Hooray!
It's an important part of the job. We're going for realism
is.
here.
Yep. All right. Photojournalist.
She's gotta. But she's been a reporter, I feel like. But photojournalist, let's go with yeah.
We're going to go with yes.
Let's do it.
Well, I started off with 3 real ones, so there we go. Yes. Specifically, it was a photojournalist for National Geographic thing, but
Oh.
I'm still counting that.
Yeah.
They called her photojournalist, but yeah, there she is. There she is. Even comes with a little baby lion.
Yeah,
So cute.
perfect.
Okay. Next one. A cable repair person.
I feel like there's definitely been trade Barbies, but I don't know that there's been cable repair. So I'm going to say this one is fake.
All right. Well, you're off to a great start then. This is fake. And since I don't have a picture of a Barbie, any fake one
I love
is just,
it.
Every fake picture is just going to have sad Margot Robbie.
Love it.
Okay. On to the next one. Paratrooper Barbie.
Yeah, let's say that's real.
You're going to say that's real. Of course it is, because we got to have... and apparently the parachute she came with worked. Like, you could throw up into the air and it would unfurl and she would drift down more slowly.
I love that.
Yeah, they did a series of military things with Barbie, which not sure how I feel about that, but...
Not super into the military-industrial complex, but appreciate that they're not just showing soldiers as men.
Yeah, well, interestingly, the woman on the left there is the very first female paratrooper in Thailand. She was the very first woman.
Congrats, girl.
Yeah, so good for her. Congratulations. Yeah. Hipster IPA homebrewer Barbie. Oh, God, brewer Barbie would have been a good fake one. But...
Yeah. She's probably coming. They're probably in progress with her. She'll be based in Brooklyn.
All right, waste management.
I want to say that one's real.
I say this one's real. All right. Unfortunately, no. This one is fake. That's your first incorrect answer.
No, surely.
I mean, it could work. However,
it could work. It could
sanitation
totally
worker. I mean, it's a legitimate and very important job.
Very important job.
Yes. Game show host. And there, of course, we have the most famous woman game show host of all time.
I want to say this one's fake.
You're going to say fake.
I'm going to say fake.
Well, I'm afraid
it's real. Tragic.
And in fact, it came with a whole set and everything.
Oh my God. Sounds sponsored. Maybe it was. The Price is Right. Branded.
Yeah. But I like Vanna White. Pat Sajak's a huge piece of crap, but Vanna White is cool. And she's taken over hosting a few episodes, and I think she does better than Pat.
Hopefully she could take over.
I think that would be great. But, I mean, she's also getting up. I mean, both her and Pat are getting up there in years. But, of course, I mean, my God, for a woman, I think she's like over 60s now. And that's a recent picture of her. I mean, she
looks great.
She looks great. You go, girl.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Circus performer.
I'm going to say this one's real.
Wow. Of course it's real.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Barbie tends to go for a lot of her jobs have cool costumes. So circus performers, like, you can get a cool costume in that one.
Oh, I'm sure there's been many outfits that you could get for Barbie to make her a circus performer. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Film critic.
For some reason, I feel like this one's real. I feel like I could see her in like a little beret, a real beatnik vibe.
All right, you're going with a real on this one.
I'm going for real.
I'm sorry, it's fake.
Now, all right, well, they need to get her in here.
I got to do a shout out to the real woman on the left there. That is Amy Nicholson, who is a film critic. She does a regular thing for the New York Times. But most importantly, she is the co-host of the podcast Unspooled with my close personal friend, Paul Scheer. Okay, we're just kind of friends, acquaintances, but yeah, still. It's a great podcast. They started off by going through every single movie in the original AFI Top 100 list and, kind of said, hey, do we think this deserves to be on the Top 100 or not? And then once they got through the list, they're like, we actually think 60 of these movies do not deserve to be on the list. So let's find 60 movies that should be on the list. And one of the things that they very much talked about is how the AFI Top 100 movie list, how many of those movies were directed by women?
Probably almost none.
It was not almost none. It was none. Zero. And they're like, we need to rectify this.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could not possibly make the top 100 movies of all time and completely leave out movies directed by half the population. It's just like...
Yeah.
So they're really trying to do the top 100 list that has the full spectrum of creators and types of movies. Like, seriously, like half the movies on the original AFI Top 100 are either Westerns or war movies. And it's just like, do we need a top list with that much of just a couple genres? No, we don't.
No.
They also made a tough rule. A director may only appear on the list once. Now,
That is tough. But...
That is tough, because, okay, which Scorsese movie? Which Spielberg movie? You know, like, what? That's a good question. What Spielberg movie do you put on there? The answer's Jurassic Park. Or Jaws.
Well.
Or E.T.
E.T. scared me as a kid, so I probably wouldn't put E.T. on there.
Me as a kid too. All right. Sorry for that tangent. I just got to shout out Amy Nicholson. She's amazing. Listen to the podcast. Read her reviews. She's got amazing insight. She's I think one of the best film critics out there right now. Check her out.
Woohoo! Yeah.
Park Ranger.
I'm gonna say real.
Of course it's real.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I say, park rangers, the best law enforcement officers.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Agreed.
Okay. Ornithologist. The best job Barbie could possibly have.
I know. That's so true. I feel like this is fake, though.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it is.
We gotta phone it in. She needs, like... Because they could sell so many little parrot companions.
I know!
Come on.
It's like, come on. Give us an ornithologist, Barbie. We gotta have it.
We
gotta have it. All right. Archery Barbie.
I'm gonna say real, but I don't know if this is real, but I'm gonna say it is. If not, they need to get on this.
Sadly, it is fake.
Fantasy Barbie, come on. Make her an archer.
Elf Archer Barbie?
Yes. Or listen, it's the Olympics year.
I know, right?
Olympic archery Barbie, come on.
I know. I feel like I was actually surprised when I saw this one was fake, because I saw that there was, like, most Olympic sports, they've made a Barbie version of it, but there is no archery Barbie. There's no curling Barbie. Come on, give her a little broom in those stones. I want to see curling Barbie.
Come on, she's gotta.
Yeah,
Don't let her be left out.
Long distance trucker Barbie, complete with half-filled trucker bombs. All right, paleontologist.
You know what? Let's say real. I don't know if it is, but I feel like if they haven't made a Dino Barbie crossover, they're missing out.
Yes. Of course, I had to picture the most famous female paleontologist of all time, Laura Dern. But yes, paleontologist Barbie is real.
She's real.
She's real. I like how she comes with two little plastic intact dinosaurs and not dinosaur bones.
Love it.
Yeah, no bones. No bones. Come
no
on.
bones.
It should be bones.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Major League Baseball player Barbie.
There has to be a baseball Barbie, right? There's gotta be.
You tell me.
Real. Let's say real.
Yes, it is real.
Okay, good. I was like, how? How would they not?
Yeah. Baseball's even one of those sports where, like, the top women can actually compete close to the level of the men in it. Like, you know, maybe they're not the biggest home run hitters, but boy, they got that small ball down. And one of the interesting things I learned is that because of the distances and how fast they can pitch it, the reaction time for women's softball is actually less than the reaction time for professional league baseball.
Oh,
So
that's
like
interesting.
the time from when the ball leaves the hand to when it crosses the plate is actually shorter in college women's softball than it is professional men's baseball. So don't
Wow.
tell me that they don't have the skills or the reflexes to hit it, because they
Mm-hmm.
absolutely do.
They do.
And some of those strong women out there, women can throw a 90-mile-per-hour fastball. So
Mm-hmm.
I think if there's a sport that's most likely to become integrated, it is baseball.
Yeah. Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. All right. Stockbroker.
Hmm. I'm gonna say real, but I really hope that Barbie isn't on Wall Street just because that's a hell pit. But you go, Barbie. I believe in you.
Gonna go
I'm gonna
fake.
go real.
Are you gonna go real? You're going real.
I'm gonna
Okay.
go real.
Well, you should have said fake. It is.
Ah,
It is thankfully fake. I
okay,
should have put it.
she's spared.
Honestly, for this one here, I should have had a happy Margot Robbie.
Yes, you should have. You should have been like, yes, I'm not a day trader.
Yes,
Yes.
that is actually one of the interesting things, that Barbie has never done a finance or banking job, and that has been
Good.
intentional. Yeah,
Good.
yeah. Venture
Venture
capitalist.
capitalist Barbie? No.
Okay, okay, Benta, you're going back to that. And I think you ever heard the term vulture capitalists to describe venture capitalists? You
I
know,
have not, but that's apt.
well, no, it's a derogatory term towards the capitalists, because it's like, it meant to say that, like, hey, venture capitalists are basically like vultures. But here's the
Yeah.
thing. I don't think they're like vultures, because vultures actually are good for the environment and have a
That's true.
useful thing to them. Vultures are awesome. Vultures are great. We should not be associating the noble vulture with a crappy capitalist. No.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you want to have a term that's similar to venture, then we should call them vampire capitalists, because they
Yeah.
just drain things dry.
Yes.
Yeah. Vultures don't kill things. They should be called vampire capitalists. That's
I like
far
it.
better than vulture capitalist.
I
I
like
petition we get rid of the term vulture capitalist and replace it with vampire capitalist.
I agree with this.
Glad you agree. All right, we're on our last one.
Okay.
Television chef. Not just any
TV
chef,
chef.
specifically a TV chef.
I'll go with real, but I don't know. The TV bitch. She's definitely been a chef before. Has she been a TV chef? I don't know, but let's say real. There was a period
Yes.
where TV chefs were. There we go. Everyone
Yep.
loved TV chefs for a bit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, oh, God, I can't remember the name of the woman on the left there, but she's a very big Food Network
Yes.
star. Yeah, she's
She
amazing.
is.
Yeah. Although it looks like the TV Barbie one, she's gone for a little more of a Rachel Ray look.
Yeah. She has.
Rachel Ray, who famously put out a pet food book that contained a recipe that was toxic to cats.
Girl.
I
What?
don't think she actually wrote the book. I think
No,
she just
I'm
put
sure
her name on
she
it.
didn't. But girl, you gotta check that
Yeah, I
stuff.
gotta check that stuff. Yeah, it had to be
Mhm.
recalled because one of the recipes had
Oh my
ingredients for cat food that were toxic to cats. It's like, ooh,
Jeez.
that's a big oof right there.
That is a big oof.
Yeah, but yeah, Barbie can be anything except a stockbroker.
Except, and you know what? We're happy for her.
But I think ornithologist Barbie could be a thing. Let's make it a thing, folks.
She
Let's
should
make it a
be.
thing. But that is the end of the quiz, and your grand total is 13 out of 16. That's pretty good.
Woo!
That's a B. And a B on a quiz that you didn't know what was coming up and had no ability to study for, I'd say is pretty darn good.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
Now, most of the times I do those quizzes, I try to do a 50-50 split of real and fake. And like this one, you know what? That's too hard to do because she's had too many real jobs, so the majority of them are
Yeah.
real.
Yeah, she's had a lot of jobs.
Sunday Dusk quiz average. I don't know if we could really do that, Hasio, because like some people are doing 50-50 ones, some people are doing multiple choice, some people are having to come up with the answer whole cloth. I mean, I don't think you can judge one quiz on the other.
Yeah.
But I think the only person to ever get 100% was Revenants on my "Is this a real wrestler or not?" quiz. Should not have given him a wrestling quiz. He's too much of a master of that. You know Rev, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you know Rev. Yes, we are. Well, it's now time for the worst part of the show,
Yeah.
where I have to say goodbye.
Yeah.
But I want to thank you for coming on, Razaldia. You've been just a wonderful guest. So nice. It's been a good
Thank
cozy
you for
show.
having me. I appreciated it. It was lots of fun.
Oh, glad you had fun. Is there anything you'd like to plug before we head on out?
Uh, this is a bit far in advance, but I'm resurrecting my charity farmathon in August. So if you're looking to
Yay!
help me raise some money for charity and watch some farming at the same time, all through August we'll be raising money, I think, for World Central Kitchen. So that'll be the plan.
Great. So everybody, you can click her name right there in the description. Click that, follow her, and keep an eye out in August for that, because
Yeah.
we love charity streams,
Woohoo!
because we have to do that, because apparently the government won't fund things, so we have to
The
do it
government
ourselves.
will not fund things, so we gotta do it ourselves.
All right. Well, we're going to head out. We're going to raid a little person named Borb VT. Haven't raided them in a
Woohoo!
while. They're a bird. I always like to raid into other birds. So,
Love it.
I think a week from tomorrow, we're going to have a new episode of Twig's Missing Movies. And next week, we've got a great little guest. We've got Ajalias coming on, who is a fellow ornithologist. And we will be answering all of
Ooh.
your bird questions. So please go into the Discord or any way you want to message me at all. If you have a question about birds, we will answer any and every question you might have about birds, as long as it's not like too creepy or weird. But we're going to answer as many bird questions as we can, and I think that'll be a lot of fun. We prefer you get them ahead of time, but of course show up live and we'll answer live questions as well, and it's going to be great. So everybody, have yourself a wonderful evening, and we will see you next week.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Come on, sing along. All right.
Nice.
Gotta let the music finish, right? Yeah, people can still
Yeah.
hear us. It's okay. Yeah.
That's why I went, oh.